Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. It's actually going to be a continuation of the show on Friday. I hope I hope the young college student who really convinced us that we needed to do this over and talk about several of these issues will join us over the phone. But you know, this is a call-in show. Telephone number 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. Today's title of the show is very important. I mean, we're going to, again, like I said, it's sort of a further discussion of what we were speaking about on Friday, and it has to do with whether we should, whether it is okay, whether it is correct, whether it is right for us to have billionaires in the country. Is that something that helps society? Is that something that hurts society? We actually believe that the billionaire class, by definition, by design, actually hurts the society. And what we want to do is describe exactly the procedure, or not the procedure, the method in which this occurs. And many people think that we are a meritocracy. And in thinking that we are a meritocracy, what they believe is that somehow it is equal for everybody. Everybody stands the same chance to be successful at whatever they do. The thing about it, my friends, is that isn't the case. It is great for us to believe that fallacy. It is great for us to think that somehow, in some manner, in some fashion, that every single American citizen have an equal access and equal opportunity to success. What I'm trying to tell people is, by design, it cannot happen. By design, we do not allow it. By design, that's a reality that just won't be. Now, if you're living a great middle class life and somehow you're in the top 10%, or even drop a little bit into the 20%, if you're in the 20%, you probably have aspirations that somehow you're going to get there. So you don't want to change the way things are right now, because just maybe you are going to get there, right? You think you're going to get there. So don't change anything now, because I am going to get there. And that is what the plutocracy uses on you, right? They tell you, don't change the way things are. Remember, we are a meritocracy, and not only are we a meritocracy, but you can be there too. And you see those other people there? They are trying to take your dream away. They are trying to take your dream away, because you know what? Everybody has equal access. You just have to have that gumption. You just have to be able to go there and do it. That is what they tell you, right? And guess what? I did it. Confession, I did it. But it's not about me. It's not about a lot of other folk. Right? Folks like me, after they did it, decided to say, you know what, man? I got to give it up, because it's not applicable to everybody, and somebody else have to go out there and fight for those folks. Somebody somebody have to go out there and say, you know what? It isn't so, folks. It isn't so. So, folks, let's get into el programa. Vamos a comenzar el programa ahora. We are going to start the program now. And we're going to say how it goes. Title of the show today. The title of the show today is Why Billionaires and Ultra-Millionaires are a Danger to Free Enterprise. Sound kind of technical, but it's not. Just saying that says you ain't got a chance. And I'm not talking about those of you who have made it, those of you who are doing fine. Look, a lot of us have made it. The thing about it is, where are the bootstraps? Huh? Where is it? That is what we're going to talk about, folks. That is what we're going to talk about. Subtitle of the show today is, It Does Not Matter How Benevolent the Wealthy. An economy with billionaires and ultra-millionaires destroy opportunities for the masses by design. And I know a lot of people think they're doing fine. In fact, many people they don't want to change because they really do believe they're doing fine. They don't realize that their life's on credit. They don't realize that they're on borrowed time. Why? Because if you watch TV and you watch what success is, they make you believe, they give you the semblance that everything is A-okay. You are doing just fine. Folks, I really want you to listen today. I really want you to share today. I really want you to get all this stuff out there and get people involved because, you know, I am trying in all the work that we're doing out here. I'm trying to dispel the fallacies. I'm trying to dispel, you know, they talk about insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and coming out with the same results. I ask everybody here, everybody that's listening to my voice, everybody that's listening to me live, or anybody that's listening to the podcast later on, or anybody that's watching the video on YouTube, I ask you one important thing. Welcome aboard, Chase Escamilla. Welcome aboard, Kathleen Morgan. Welcome aboard. I ask everybody, think about this. Go to your bank account. And I know there are a lot of people that are rich also that listen to me, okay? So I'm not talking about you. You're not the ultra rich or whatever. But I'm saying the average person that's listening here right now. Go to your bank account. Go and see how long do you have if something happened to you. Hola, ¿cómo estás, mi amigo? Go ahead and check that out. Why am I asking this? And then also look at how much money you owe, both for your mortgage, both for your credit cards, both for, you know, things that you may have at stores or whatever. And what people start to see is they are owed to everybody, and in as much as they have things, they have no wealth, because if they have a lot of things, but they owe all of this, those things really are, they're still working for those things, right? And I'm saying that our current economy lends itself, you know, there are people who are frugal and know how to do it in a frugal manner. But the thing about it is that's not what we preach in this country. We preach that we want folks to go ahead and get it now. That's how capitalism works. That's how we train people. You got to go get it now because it's now that you want it. So the subtitle is, It Does Not Matter How Benevolent the Wealthy, an economy with billionaires and ultra-millionaires destroy opportunities for the masses by design. Now, here it goes. Many people attribute those of us who rail against the ultra-rich, the billionaires, the millionaires, as somehow, oh, you guys have wealth envy. You guys have wealth envy. Look, for many of us activists out there, those who dropped business, whatever business we're in, real businesses that were successful, that made money, and say, you know what? Things have to change, and we gave that up and came and start doing activist grunt work. We know that things are not. Okay, we know that. And trying to import that or trying to export that to the mindset of folks, besides all the advertising glitz that you have that's telling you that everything is okay. We know Trump is telling everybody that the economy is doing so great. Unemployment is so low. And it's true. Those things are true. The unemployment's low. Of course, people's wages aren't keeping up with inflation. Mother and father and kids in the house have to work to keep the kind of status of living they had in the 70s and 80s. So, I mean, we know that things are very, 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 very different. But why? Extraction. But what I'm going to do is get into the show, read the blog of the week, and after the blog of the week, I hope the folks who called in last week will go ahead and call in this week. So here we go. Many people attribute those of us who rail against the ultra-rich, the billionaires, the millionaires, as having some sort of wealth envy. I can guarantee you there's no wealth envy here. That could not be further from the truth. The reality is that we feel compelled to dispel the myth that under our current system, all have the same opportunity to succeed. It is not the truth. The reality is that all do not have the same access to success. The reality is that the vast majority of people will be held below their potential, not because of their desire, not because of their aptitude, not because of their intellect, not because of their lack or lack of ambition, but because most must be chosen. Later on, I'm going to explain what I mean by most must be chosen. Because people always say, we are a meritocracy. If you are good at what you do and you're the best at what you do, you rise to the top. To some extent, that is true. But I can prove that most of the times, that cannot be true. It's not that there's some evil person that doesn't want that to be true. It's just that it simply cannot be true from a mathematical standpoint. And you always hear me talk about mathematical standpoints. It cannot be true. The absolute meritocracy is a figment. The absolute meritocracy is a figment of everybody's imagination. And how do we get there? We get there with what we're going to talk about now, the blog of the week. So what time is it?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, here the title of the blog post is rather simple. Princeton Professor Eddie Glaude Jr. points out the real problem with capitalism. That's the title of the blog. But the blog is pretty deep, and I'd like for you to really follow what we're talking about here. If you have any questions, just either give me a call at 646-716-5812, or also feel free to just leave a message on Facebook and just talk to me there. Welcome over Roberto Lewis as well. You know, just feel free to give me a call at 646-716-5812. So here it goes. Every so often, we watch someone say something profound on any of the morning news shows. Today, that went to Princeton professor Dr. Eddie Glaude Jr., who spoke to the reality of the type of economy, the form of capitalism we practice in the United States. Sometimes one can get the point overusing keywords that when analyzed tells the story. Eddie Glaude Jr. was a master on slamming capitalism today, as it is today that is. And at the same time, he was so kind. 804, I'm coming to you next on the phone as well. So hang there with me. Let me get through with the blog of the week. I have the video clip of his statements in the blog. But here it goes. He first pointed out the disconnect between what is happening on the ground and what folks are talking about every day. This is what he said. I think part of what's happening is that the traditional spectrum of our politics has changed, Professor Glaude said. Oftentimes, the categories progressive, conservative, centrist might not actually map on to what's happening on the ground. It's much more complicated, much more fluid. The professor then described not only the economic perception, but the economic reality. He said the following, I think the idea of expanding the pie and dividing the pie, the professor continued, most progressives are thinking that the expansion of the pie involves the top 1%, the top 1/10%, taking all of the expansion. We have to address fundamentally that the economy is not working for everyday ordinary folk in a way that it should. And nobody has to ask whether it's true or not. The reality is all the gains we've gotten since the crash in 2008 did go to the top 1%. Some went down, trickled to the 10%, etc. But the vast majority went to the top 10% and the top 0.1%. Finally, Professor Glaude nails the issue. He did not even have to mention the word capitalism in a negative manner that I would, especially given that earlier many were maligning progressives as if they were wrong for criticizing it. Markets don't determine what we value, Dr. Glaude said. The markets reflect what we value. I want to repeat that. He said, markets don't determine what we value. In other words, the capital markets, capitalism doesn't determine what we value because it has no heart, no soul. The markets reflect what we value. We design the economic system in such a manner to tell you what we value. And what we value currently is capital, not humanity. Capital. And it is not about rejecting capitalism as such. It is about building a society that reflects the value of everyday ordinary people in our society. And I think that argument has to be had. Look, I have made similar statements before, likely not as artful. Capitalism has no heart or humanity. By definition, its goal is to maximize shareholder profits, nothing else. Those who want to stifle government and increase the role of the private sector, read corporations, seldom understand that while every American has input to direct government, they don't have it with corporations. But further, executives have a fiduciary responsibility only to the shareholders and with that themselves. Many say that ultimately the average American have their say with their pocketbooks. That is only true under a free enterprise system, not a capitalist market. There's a difference. Without government, we the people, corporations converge into monopolies where people lose any leverage to force their hands. You must eat, heat your home, drive, etc. So, one will be required to purchase at any price. When we add the environment and other externalities, we see the expansion of the capitalist model is entirely unsustainable. Interestingly, while during the Reagan Revolution, which continues to pilfer Americans even today, it was difficult to make the case for lack of personalized examples. It is easier now because Americans are living the scourge brought on by an economic model that raids most of the possibility of wealth accumulation, a decent retirement, and just basic happiness. The angst of the masses is manifested as a plutocracy-induced hate fest led by President Donald Trump, intent on keeping Americans' eyes off the ball, those and a system at fault. Let me repeat that because I didn't read it right. The angst of the masses is manifested as plutocracy-induced hate fest led by President Trump, intent on keeping Americans' eyes off of those and a system at fault. First, progressives must stay focused on being plain-spoken and personalize the message to reach everyone. They must not squander that carnal understanding of who is at fault by attempting to get some mythical center to placate the capitalist political funding overlords. Professor Glaude ends with the most prescient statement, and progressives, Democrats, Republicans, and conservatives alike better heed it. The age, and this is what he said, the age of Reagan is collapsing, Glaude said. What will take its place? That is the question we are grappling with. So, progressives know based on policies Americans say they want, we form the coalition that has the people's back. We cannot allow false narratives, misinformation, and lies to confuse the real issues. Folks, the telephone number is 646 716 5812. Again, that number is 646 716 5812. And let me get to the telephone number now. 804, you are going to be live right now. You're live, 804.
Hi, how are you? I just came across your show, very interesting and right on. People are hoodwinked by control mechanisms that they don't even know how to get out of, because
exactly.
Four main areas I say that are controlling us. It's big government, big business, mainstream media, and the religions, and they're all tied in together. So how do we get out of that? We have to really start researching and look at facts and not buy into sound bites. And that's where, again, the distractions are coming with something is said that resonates with you personally. As long as you have what you've got, then you dismiss everybody else. That's not what we're here for on this planet. And that's where I'm shifting things. I actually have common background with President Trump, but I'm not into the ego like he is. And there's a lot of people don't know there's 35 levels of secrecy above the president, and there are global elites looking to utilize people such in different areas like Putin and Trump and the Pope. Look how synchronistically they're coming together with North Korea and whatever. These elites are looking to carve up the planet right before our very eyes. And as we're kept in chaos, the artificial intelligence, the robotics, and automation are coming on big time. And when the chaos gets bad enough, well, you'll prove you're a good citizen by just allowing us to put a computer chip in you. It's a way we can know that you're a good guy, but there's back doors to all that technology that people aren't even aware of, and they're already allowing themselves to be implanted with chips. So we really have to wake up quickly, and I'd love to share a big website because I've had quite a bizarre life. I've been set up in all kinds of things. You were talking about President Reagan. I was accused in a false assassination plot against him and was interviewed by a Secret Service agent, yet I have a poem in his library. I also was written up in a front-page Wall Street Journal article in 1983. It triggered an investigation that eventually led to the resignation of Jim Wright from Speaker of the House in shame, the third highest office in the country. The article beautifully described how special interests and lobbyists have totally corrupted Washington, and it was before Ross Perot talked about it back in the day. But due to apathy or people not knowing what to do or how to do it, that's why we're in the stranglehold that we're in right now. But we still can get out of it. We far outnumber them, but we have to go through whole new paradigms of transparency and ethics and morals, and really taking personal responsibility and being in gratitude and going to the God energy of love. It's not about hate and looking to, well, I got mine and the hell with everybody else. Like Agenda 21, they put so much time and effort in that. I give them credit for that. There was one thing that they were missing. They want to depopulate the planet down to 500 million. The biggest mistake they made is they should have gotten the hell off the planet and leave the rest of us alone to figure it out, because we can do that.
Now, what is your name, sir?
My name is Hugh, H-U-G-H. The last name Traulsen is spelled T like Tom, R-A-U-L-S-E-N like Nancy. You can put it on YouTube or Google it. It will bring up all kinds of interviews and websites. But the website that has all these documents and more of what I was just mentioning, I'll give 3 words to Google, because when I give the website, if people don't get the words connected with the dots in the right place, I repeat it 10 times and some people still can't get it. But simply Google my last name, Traulsen, T like Tom, R-A-U-L-S-E-N like Nancy, the next word, and A-N-D, and then Trump, T-R-U-M-P. It will bring you to a page on a website, rootingoutcorruption.weebly.com. You'll see some interesting text and documents on that page. Then you'll be able to go into the menu and look at all the other pages, a Wall Street Journal article.
Actually, I did find your page about Charleston and Trump whistleblower. Is that the one you're talking about? Rooting out corruption?
That's the website, exactly. And then look over all the other pages. The page that says Business Opportunity has an interview that I did with my business partner, who's a cybersecurity expert and also involved in education. So we're bringing forth strategies, and you'll get a kick out of the statement I made on that page. I say that the big media companies are being dismantled by new media companies that are empowering their clients and customers with passive income strategies. Now, who's doing that? Think about how many millions of dollars was spent on these Super Bowl ads. That's totally old paradigm. So it's people helping people through collaborations that are based on a win-win-win all the way around. And I say any company today, you can have the best product, the best customer service. If you're not being good to your employees, your customers, the environment, and giving back to the community in ethical, legal, moral ways, as people wake up to the fact that election day is every single day you buy a product. If you're buying lead-based painted toys out of China through Walmart, your kids don't have a choice, but you do.
Let me ask you this. Let me break into your monologue now. Tell me a little bit about what I understand what you're saying. Tell me a little bit about what do you think a solution is to what we have to do in about 3 or 4 sentences.
Well, there's ways that you can come into the community and network with each other, and the stock market, I feel, will crash eventually because it's total manipulation. So look for companies that you can resonate with that will offer passive income. There's a lot of good MLMs out there. That's a way for people to at least begin to know how to start getting some additional income in, but they have to work at it. They can't just join it and expect things to happen. Now, I strategize with video products with a company that was started about a dozen years ago by a police officer in Florida. It's called Talk Fusion. It's in 140 countries.
Well, let me tell you what I did. Let me tell you what I did for you.
Yeah.
I went ahead and I posted your link inside of on our live feed. It's there. So as far as the business portion is concerned, I made sure to get your plug in for for your website. So anything else you want to add specific to the topic?
No, only that we have to understand too our spirituality. That's what's lacking. Too many people are just focused on the material world, and the negative stuff that you put out. The law of attraction is simple and basic. It's more negativity is going to come back to you. So if you're running around trying to make millions, getting people hooked on drugs, you're going to pay for that. If not in this life, when you go back into spirit, you're going to be accountable.
Well, it's
people
funny.
won't resonate with that.
That is what that one company did, right? Got people hooked on all these types of drugs. Yeah, they'll pay for it. Look, thank you so kindly for calling in, my friend. You have a wonderful day, and let me tell other folks, the telephone number is 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. I wanted to get into something else, but before, let me get, I think, welcome aboard. I think I just saw my friend. Well, where is he? Well, okay, looks like more calls are coming in. I'll go ahead and take another call. All right, let's go to telephone number 512. 512, come on in. 512, you're hot.
This is Chase.
Hey, Chase, what's going on, buddy?
This is Chase.
Talk to me.
Hey, brother. Just some value of my perspective on today's show. You know, I love the way you're talking about today. Thank you for posting the good show, just first and foremost. Can I add some value from my demographic and my age group?
Of course.
Kind of how I'm thinking. Okay, so the last caller was talking about systems and all that stuff, but don't you have to say we were the problem first before you can move forward, right? Billionaires and millionaires are struggling because of generational things, right? Money is running out. If you're a corporation and you don't have a customer base or a demographic, how can you stay in business? You cannot. So you have to be able to adapt your funding model as a corporation. And I think that, along with technology, automation, he was talking about all that fun stuff, marketing 101, that stuff, if these applications, we're watching you on Facebook, Instagram, these platforms, if this is the way the world's going to be the next 100 years, isn't it our responsibility as Americans, as citizens, to learn the platforms that we use on a global scale for the next 100 years?
Absolutely.
I was running out of my points on that, but I'll fall back and listen. I just think it's funny because that free market that we talk about, what is that true free market?
The market is a myth.
It's a myth. So Paul Ryan's free market of the capitalist, free market, that enterprise, can a free market survive in a non-system? That is a system. You're talking about mortgage, car payment, debt, credit cards. You're in that system for the rest of your life and until you figure a way to get it out. You have to cut back. And like a corporation with too many people right now, can they survive?
No, and the reason why
big corporations.
I want to add something to that, Chase, because you gave a very important thing. You say you have to cut back, and all of that. We only have to cut back because we are in a particular economic model that defines it that way. There are many other economic models, and there's something I want you to consider, and I'm going to put you on hold and go to the next call. But there's a thing called MMT that is scaring the holy heck out of capitalists. It's called money. It is called something money theory, a modern monetary theory. Take a look at that. I'm going to be going to line 832, or rather, telephone number 832. Come on in, 832.
Hello?
Yes, you're on 832.
Yes, sir. Egberto, this is Roberto.
Roberto, ¿qué pasó, hermano mío?
Touch base. Bien. This is a very good topic. One thing that I would say, with everything that you've been putting out and your callers calling in and everything like that, one way that I would see that the economic structure would change with all these different companies and billionaires and multimillionaires and everything like that, it has to be something set up that if businesses or millionaires are making a certain salary, it should be like a cutoff point to the fact that they have to put back in the system to help other people, mom and pop, to even rise back up. Because if you don't have these millionaires and billionaires putting back into the system, it's hard for a mom and pop or anybody that is trying to come up in the business to change the economic structure. They will never arise to that point. That's why some make it and some don't, because the higher you go with billionaires and millionaires, they are stifling the ones that is trying to come up to get part of the economic structure to change it.
Roberto, the magic word that you used, my brother, when you said they are stifling. And that is exactly what they're doing. I'm going to give a perfect example later on after I'm done handling these calls, how the stifling actually works. So I am so happy that you said that word stifling, sir. You're absolutely correct.
But anyway, great topic, and continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
My brother.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, my brother.
Good.
Hey, look, let me tell you something, folks. What Roberto just said is absolutely so, and that is one I wanted to stifle. There was a young man, a pre-med student who called in on Friday, and believe it or not, he's responsible for me doing this topic, sort of, and it's not the same exact topic as before, but it's a topic today, and he sort of was responsible for me doing it again, because his concern was, hey, anybody can be Oprah. You know, Oprah's worth probably $3 billion right now, and he thinks everybody can be Oprah. And what I've always told people is that if an economy is growing at 2%, but the rich is growing at 7%, then eventually the rich is taking the money away from the poor, or the middle class. Because again, if you have one pie, and a certain group of people are always getting a big, when that pie is growing, their piece of that pie continues to grow. That means everybody else's piece of the pie gets smaller. And, you know, a lot of times people have a hard time understanding that concept. And I figured that the medical student that called me didn't quite get it. And then I want to use an example. I have a company that I'm putting on hiatus, a software company. And I'm going to use my software company because I built everything. And since I built everything, I can say I had all the stuff input into that. Let me qualify it this way first. Yes, it is true. I went to the University of Texas. They gave me a great education that allowed me to teach myself, because again, I went as a mechanical engineer to the University of Texas, but I created a software company and I created tons of software that's used all over. NASA, Boeing, everybody uses my software, the software that I had before, in testing serial I/O, testing different parts of a whole lot of stuff. Now, there was a time when, and like I said, I developed the software, I wrote the books, the manuals for the software. I also did the advertising for the software. I did everything for that software, marketing, and I sold it. I had my own point of sale, everything 100% done in-house. Every now and then I would subcontract, like a few years later, I subcontracted for a logo. The reason I'm telling you this is, as opposed to a person with an MBA who goes into a company and sells that company and then makes a ton of money from selling that company, I didn't do that. 209, I'm coming to you next. I didn't do that. I did it all on my own. Eventually, when I developed certain types of licenses, there are certain licenses that I sold for one company may sell for $10,000. Okay? Did I have to sell it for $10,000? No. But at the time, okay, I have a daughter in college, all these other things that I did, but so I sold it at $10,000. I had the entire power to do that. It was a piece of software that these folks needed. They wanted to license it. That is the charge that I put on that software. People can say, oh, I was great. I did all of that the right way, and it was my right to do that. But in pricing that at a particular level, what I did is that cost isn't kept by that corporation. That cost is passed on down the line. So in order to make me ultra more money than somebody else, right, I charge this fee, and to get me to keep that, to make that other company down the chain charges more and more for what they're doing. So by the time it gets to the person who flies in a Boeing jet, by the time it gets to the person who works for that NASA company that built the software, I know I'm a little tiny piece of this whole thing. Okay, I'm a little tiny piece, but it's still a piece of it. My cost, the cost of making me have more money, had to percolate down. So in the long run, I'm taking it away from those other people that if I had charged a lower price and all of the subcontractors had charged a lower price, would make things better for the average worker that's out there. So by us having pricing power, we can make life better or worse for others. So when people tell you the ultra rich, the billionaires, the corporate holders, the corporations don't have a factor as far as the success down the chain of people, the capitalist system is designed in a way that says, yes, you do. And what made it worse was the Reagan Revolution, because what happens is, let's say I charge $10,000 or I charge $1 million for a license. If the society is set up that after I reach X amount of dollars, that goes, I'm taxed and it goes back into the system, then it is okay, right? Because what happens then is that money circulates. I am not afforded the opportunity to hoard capital just because I want to. And that's what we have today. We hoard capital just because we can, not because we're worth it or because it is so. Now, I had to give up my own darn company to prove this damn point. And now, well, anyhow, before I come to the phones, I just want to do a quick pitch, folks. This is a progressive show that does need your support. Please go ahead and go to patreon.com, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright and subscribe. My subscriptions start at $1.99 a piece. Anybody who subscribes now, you will get How to Make America Utopia when the book ships. But guess what? You can actually read the book online as I write the chapters one at a time. One at a time, you will get a notification, chapter is out, and you can go read the chapter before it's done. Then when the whole books come out with all the fixes and the modifications and all of that, you get the book as well. As low as $1.99, but you can subscribe at any level. We have all kind of little goodies and tidbits to try to get you to do that. Additionally, if you anybody who subscribes to Politics Done Right as well, you get to read online As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, which is my book. You can also get this book at Amazon, but you can also just be a subscriber and read it online and whenever you want to get it or whatever. And if you go to a certain level, I'll even give you a signed hard copy of the book to do it. This book is still applicable to every single thing that is happening. It even explains how we have screwed the average American citizen. So please go ahead and go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. If you just want to give a contribution, you can always go to our website, politicsdoneright.com, politicsdoneright.com, and give a contribution at that website as well. But I really would love I'm trying to reach over 1,000 subscribers. I think we're close to 90 on Patreon, and we are close to, I think, 30 or so on PayPal. But we need to get a whole lot more subscribers to make this stuff viable. So I'm going to give the link one more time, then I'm going to phones again. Patreon.com, let's start over. P as in person, ATREON.com/politics done right. Patreon.com/politics done right. And if you so want to, you can always go to politicsdoneright.com on our website and contribute there. Okay, let me go to 209 dropped off. 209 dropped off. Let's go back to 804. Okay, 804, you're hot. Come on in.
Hi. I was listening further, and people weren't grasping exactly everything that I'm saying because there's too much there for them to look at right away. But are you at all familiar with the Venus Project?
No, I'm not. But, sir, didn't you call before?
Yes, that's what.
Why did you say that people are not grasping? Why did you say people are not grasping what you're saying?
Because they're too caught up in the matrix. They have to get out of the matrix. They have to start thinking for themselves instead of being directed by all these areas that are controlling them.
Right. I got it, sir. Let me get another.
It's a spiritual journey we're all on, and people aren't looking at their spirituality in the right way. They're focused mainly on the material world and being put into fear and being manipulated.
Got you. Okay, my friend. Okay, folks, 209, you just dropped off. Give us a call back. The number is, again, where is my number? Let me put my number back on the screen. The number is 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. 209 was just on. You can give us a call back. But anyway, so I gave you that story about how the pricing at the top, meaning the plutocracy, the wealthy, the rich, how the way they price things can actually affect not just making them rich, but how in order for them to get rich, they are sucking the money away from others. And people kind of think, well, no, they earned it. They earned it. Yeah, they have the pricing power to suggest other people do it. Okay, 209 is back. Let me get to 209. Come on in, 209.
Hey, Egberto, it's Sally here.
Sally, talk to me, my friend.
And, yes. It's funny because I was having a flashback of when my gloom and doom towards capitalism started. Mm-hmm. And actually it was in the 80s when me and my husband were buying our house.
Right.
And right before we closed our loan, Black Monday happened.
Oh. I remember that. That was when the market was only at 500-something points. It was at 800 and I think dropped.
Yes. And who was president?
Senor Reagan.
Mr. Reagan.
Yes.
Yes. Ronald Reagan was president at that time, and it's funny how his trickle-down economics are still trickling down and killing the working class person.
You know, Sally, that is when the destruction. Look, if you look at the path, right? from the time that Roosevelt really started. A lot of people don't want to give Roosevelt any credit for getting us out of the Depression. They want to use only World War II did it. Well, you know what? When he created all those work programs, a lot of people got to eat. A lot of people got money. So they can claim anything about how the economy was for the plutocrats, but for the average working person who had a job and could eat, the economy was doing just fine with the programs that Roosevelt had. But here's the kicker, my dear friend, Sally. Here's the kicker. If you take a look, as we moved on as an economy from the 40s, okay, productivity, the amount of work per person increased by a whole bunch. It went on a steady incline. Guess what was happening then as well? People's wages was keeping up with that increase in productivity. Then came Reagan. And when he did all the machination with the taxes and the way, and all these other things that they did, suddenly we stopped capturing that productivity. We made it such that corporations, the executives in the corporations, they could make unlimited money. And all of that came about by lowering the top marginal tax rate. And if you listen to what Roberto said earlier, when Roberto said they are stifling everybody else. What happened is when you drop that tax rate very low, what then occurred is that these people said, oh, with me getting X amount of dollars, why throw it back into the company to make it more productive? I can make more money because I can keep more money. But you have pricing power. Why? Another thing that folks don't tie in together, the price of their drugs, right? Let me ask you something, Sally. Did they design any new steroids or whatever? No. But every year that
no. And if they and any research is done on taxpayers' dollars.
Thank you.
Through the NIH, I'm already aware of that.
Right. And the thing about it is whether they had more cost associated with the drug or not, every year the price of drugs in the aggregate goes up. What that means is they do have pricing power, and as they price these drugs, they are affecting the economies, the personal economies of every single American. So when people talk about, oh, we all have access to success and everybody can be rich, that is the furthest thing from the truth. The people at the top have pricing power, and they take, because of the things that you want, inflation is their pricing power, and they constantly take it away from you. So as you grow up and you think you can build some capital, you can build some wealth, for the vast majority of Americans, they simply cannot. They simply cannot. And that is what you and everybody else that we subscribe to this ethos, if you will, have to try to get out there to the folks that are listening to us, to the folks that we have contact with. It's not only about one program, it's about several programs. There's a Majority Report, there's the TYT, and all these other places where we can get this information out and where we can point people to get this information about. We have to stay on, because let me tell you what's starting to happen, Sally and everybody else that's listening, what's happening now. Now that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and by the way, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is
my little sweetheart. I love her.
She's a darling of the movement, right? And I'm glad to have her. But I want to remind folks that there are a lot of other leaders in the movement that's been preaching this, but she galvanized everything because of how good she is at a strategist, how good she is with social media and reaching her peers, how good she is in staying on message and articulating the message. She is great in doing these things. And for that, we ought to have honor for her, respect her, and not just look at her, oh, there goes a little millennial that's a fast talker. No. She is more consistent, and she's more together than most of the adults right now that just want us to conform to the middle. I love her. I think she's doing a wonderful job, and we need a hell of a lot more of her around.
More of her, yes. If we could only clone her.
Exactly. If we could clone her, we would do so much better. So, I mean, the thing about it, Sally, is we are getting there. We're starting to get there. We're getting people aware of this. And one of my, I do this job here, but I also I travel to DC to different conferences, or if there's going to be a Netroots Nation where all the progressive bloggers meet once a year. I make sure to go to that every year. And what we do is we strategize on how best to get that message out. But our biggest problem are those people who don't have the foresight, or they don't I don't want to say it's the foresight. They don't have the belief in being able to succeed, and because they don't have the belief in being able to succeed, they acquiesce to just what's given to them, the crumbs, and we have to break that cycle.
And part of that is they don't realize the power in numbers.
Exactly.
That we have the elite. We have them outnumbered. We could shut this country down indefinitely if we all just stood up together. And that's where we're at right now. We're just trying to gather the forces, I guess.
And I think, look, in the long run, we'll be able to do that. What we have to do, though, is we have to stay together. And, a lot of people get on my case because I engage everybody, left, right, whatever, and I try to get the message out. I try to talk to them. And
and let me interrupt because I appreciate that about you.
Thank you.
I really do. It really keeps it interesting, and we have to always keep a gauge into how the other side is, how they're thinking.
Absolutely. I mean, and not only that, I respect folks because let me tell you something else, right? None of us are immune to being indoctrinated. None of us are immune to have fallen to on the wrong path. And since I've been on the wrong path before on many issues, on the gay issue, I've been on the wrong side until a long time ago. Though. Please don't hit me, guys. It's been a long time ago, over 20 years. But what I'm saying is, I grew up, and what I like to say is that since I expected folks to forgive me, since I expected folks to give me a break, since I expected folks to say, "Okay, you grew up, it's okay," I am going to lend that to every other human being as well. Because that's, when you do that and people see that, they're more receptive to you. And you stand a better chance of saying, okay, even if you don't agree with me today, think about it and see what you come up with in the long run. And that is my goal. That is my goal. Again, first, respect people. And if you do that, you can move forward from there, Sally.
Yeah.
Anyhow, anything else you want to add, Sally, before I go into yet another monologue?
Well, I got a little overwhelmed there a little while ago because I'm really fighting to keep my fight. Mm-hmm. We'll just put it like that. Mm-hmm. I'm really fighting to keep my fight because realistically, it's hard to stay on the fence and not be a pessimist or an optimist.
Mm-hmm.
And for little people that have worked all their lives for just to survive, and that's where I'm at right now. I'm kind of at a crossroads, and I'm still fighting to survive. And when will I start to live?
Let me tell you something. I mean, it's funny that you said when you start to live, because if you listen to my blog, I talk about happiness, right? And happiness comes when we don't have to work and exist for the other, to keep the plutocracy going. Right now, most people are just working as hard as they can to pay the bills that they have, and there's no real pleasure, or the little pleasure that they have is not enough for what they're doing. So yes, as far as being on the fence between optimism and pessimism, let me tell you how I view it. I have always been the optimist, and what I mean by that is not a foolish optimism. It's that if I have the wherewithal, if we have the wherewithal to keep fighting, then there's something to look forward to. It is when we sit back and just let it be done to us that at that point, that is where the pessimism would set up. And I tell you what, you call into Politics Done Right, and everybody listening, call into Politics Done Right. Let's have a optimism fest because we are going to make a change. Not fast. I don't want to fool anybody. This ain't going to be quick. But it is about moving in the right direction. Moving and the first part about it, Sally.
Amen, brother.
Right,
That's
absolutely.
right.
It's moving in the right direction. And here's the most important thing, Sally.
And connecting and knowing that we're not alone out here. That there's.
You hit exactly what I was going to say, Sally. So that is where we're at right now. So, look, Sally, thank you so kindly for calling in. Thank you so kindly for listening. All right, my friend?
No, thank you so kindly because those last words are exactly what I needed to give me a little boost and get through another day of fight.
Well, you know what? We're going to stay fighting together. Thank you so kindly. You have a great day now.
Yeah, you as well.
Folks,
Bye-bye.
let me tell you, I wanted to get into a quick little monologue because, and this is mostly for all those people that say, like, Berta, you're still wrong. Everybody has the same opportunity, and it's not by design that that people can't make it. And I like to use one example, and that is football players, right? There are hundreds of thousands of darn good football players all through this country. All through this country. All of them. Great football players. Scouts go around the country to look for football players. In my blog, I mentioned that the people who make it very well, who get wealthy, etc., most of them have been the chosen. Not their aptitude, not their intellect, not theirness. And I'm not saying they don't have those. I'm saying they weren't the top of the crop. It wasn't a meritocracy that gave that to them. And let me explain again. I can use that with singers. I can use that with football players. I can use that with scientists. I can use that with everything because of this thing called supply and demand of the resources needed, right? So, you have all these great football players. His field is in playing football. Some footballers become big millionaires. Why? Did they become big millionaires because they were the best at the game? They were good at the game, or they could have been the best at the game with a lot of other best of the game around the country. But they were the ones chosen by those scouts. They were the ones chosen. They were lucky to be chosen out of all the other people around the country that's as good as them. We talk about Oprah and her billions, right? Oprah is a damn good person at what she does. No doubt. As an entertainer, as that type of a person. But there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other Oprahs that wanted that kind of position as well to make that. But they weren't chosen. The Chicago station didn't choose them. So when I talk about having to be chosen to make it, let me go now to singers. You go to any church, you find great singers. Only a few are chosen. And is it that they're better than those folks that you have in the church right now? You have some people on the singing right now on records that don't come close to some of the folks in church, but the folks in church weren't chosen to make it. Now let's go to my company, and the reason I want to go to my company is because a lot of times what had me with a big head one time was saying, "Oh, I did all my software myself. I wrote my manuals. I did all of that myself, and that's why I made it." When I did make it, I just want to warn folks: I'm poor now because I decided to do full activism. But here's the deal: you can go ahead and say, "Oh, well, you did all that work, so." You know, you were able to make it and all of that, so anybody else can. No, absolutely not. I made serial comm software, right? Make computers talk to each other. Other folks did it the same. I happened to be chosen by those who bought the product to use it. So in every aspect of life in this type of a capitalist system, you see that those who make it just happen to have had the wherewithal to be chosen. No matter what field you look at, you were chosen. And it's not that you were necessarily the best. You were good, but it's not necessarily that you were the best. It wasn't necessarily that you're the best. You were chosen. As long as we have a system like that, it is very important that we realize that when we talk about basic income, when we're talking about people giving back, when we talk about taxing the wealthy and all those issues, we have to remember that a lot of other folks could have made it, but they simply weren't chosen. Folks, please remember, this is a talk show that needs your support. Please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Subscribers get a whole lot from doing that, including reading all our books that we come out now and subsequently online. Please go know that right now, as I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, can be purchased at Amazon. But at the same time, you can read it online at our website. And why can you read it online at our website? Because you can read it online because guess what? It is there for all to see once subscribed. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And guess what? You know what? I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.